In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to build your very own AI agent that you can put on a website without any coding required. Modern businesses need 24/7 lead capture, the ability to service customers around the clock without hiring more staff, and this AI agent will be able to do exactly that. By the end of this video, you'll have a fully functioning AI agent that will be able to be embedded on a website, as well as be able to be updated and tuned to exactly how you want. But let's jump into a quick demo to see exactly how this AI agent works. We restart, so as you can see, it's now blue instead of the pink, which is great. As you can see here, we've also customized the start, so you'll be able to add in your customer's name. We've also got the blue logos. We've also got the blue background here instead of the white that was before. And if we type something in, we can say hello and we'll send that off. What we can see is it's now got the dark blue background for that customer's response. So that's how quick and easy it is to get something up and running using n8n to embed on a website with your own color scheme. You'll get access to all of the resources in the link below. All you need to do is come across to our community. We've got a great one that we're building. We'll come across to Classroom, come across to AI agent, and then you're looking for one that's around how to build n8n and put it on a website. You'll be able to download the blueprint as well as all of the prompts that we're going to be running through today. It'll come through as a JSON file. We'll come back into our account. We'll be able to import from file. There we go. And now it's all loaded up exactly how you'll be able to use it. So it'll be ready to go straight away, but we'll get rid of that and we'll be starting from scratch together today. So let's jump straight into it and see how we build it ourselves. So as mentioned, the first part we're going to do here is we're going to come across to on chat message. So we're going to be able to get this from our website itself. We need to come to the left-hand side here and make the chat public. We need the hosted chat so we can come through and use that. You can use the embed if you want to as well. We're going to go through, just use the hosted chat for this version. That's because the other one goes through by using a webhook instead. You can set up some authentication if you want to as well. And you can send through the initial messages. And again, you can change that here. Or as mentioned, we're going to run through a bit later how you can do some personalization a bit later on if we come a bit further down here so that you can get it looking exactly the way you want to. So we'll leave the initial message in there for now and we'll be able to come down here and you can add in other information if you want. You can allow file types, for example. So here, if you want them to be able to upload files, maybe you've got an internal use case, you could do that. Or if you've got some authentication, it just makes sure that they're not sending through any bad files or anything in the future. So we'll be able to come to here, we'll be able to do AI agent. This is going to be able to respond back to our customer that maybe is on the website or maybe some of the clients that you've got. We're going to keep it as is for now. We're going to add in our chat model. So I'm going to use OpenRouter. If you've not used OpenRouter before, to get this up and running, you want to come down, create a new credential, come across to OpenRouter, and then come down to keys. You'll be able to do create a key and there you go. You can give it a name, give it a credit limit. So it's got a limit on how much it can spend. And you'll be able to use it. And the reason I love OpenRouter is because if we come back, we've now got all of these different LLMs to choose from. So again, for example, if you wanted to use DeepSeek, you could use that and it'd be very cost effective on your website. Or if you prefer the tonality of something like Claude, you'd be able to use that as well. So now we've got the chat ready to go. We'll be able to just rename this to multi-AI brain. There we go. We'll move that along there and then we'll just add in our chat memory. So we'll come into here. We'll just do contact windows of 5, so it will remember the last 5 messages that went through. There we go, we'll call it chat history. And now to give it some functionality, we'll go through and add some tools, but just to check it's all working, what we're going to do is come through and add our agent prompt quickly. So we'll come down to options, system message. Now you'll be able to get access to this prompt yourself. I've already got one developed, so we'll open this up and we'll paste it in here. Again, if you come into the resources linked below, you'll be able to get access to the agent prompt as well as the website design code that we're going to run through in a minute. So if we come back across, as you can see here, we've given it a really clear structure. So in this case, I've done just an aesthetic clinic, so a beauty clinic. As you can see here, we've given it a name. So for example, Lumi. Virtual assistant, we've given it today's date, so it's got reference to it. Its primary goal is to basically answer questions or queries as well as get customers booked in for an appointment. It has access to a Google Calendar as well as the RAG knowledge. Again, add in all the different tools here that you give it access to. For example, the RAG knowledge, that's just optional in this use case. Again, if you include some of the information about the company in the prompt, you don't need to give it access to that RAG knowledge. It just adds that extra layer of complexity if you don't want it there. As you can see here, we've given it some information on the company. You could add in some pricing there if you wanted to. We've given it some general rules. We've given it some example workflows on the bookings. So for example, it's going to ask them to confirm their details before booking. And we've just given it some example interactions. And again, if we come back to the top, one thing I love about n8n is it shows you exactly what that AI agent would see in that date time format on the right hand side. So now if we come back, what we can do is we can do save. We can make sure that this is all hosted. We need to copy our chat URL that we've got here. We're going to come across to our demo environment that we've got access to. We'll come down to the bottom here, just where we've got some code embeds. But again, if you're using Squarespace or Wix, you'll be able to inject the code in a different way as well. So what we're going to do is just paste our HTTP in there at the moment. What we're then going to do is come back and we're going to access this website here, which I'll include linked below, as well as all of the resources if you want to get access to them. And we're going to come down and copy this, and then we'll paste it across into our website. So if we come back in here, paste down a couple of rows, copy, and then paste into the webhook URL. This works for both cloud hosted versions with n8n, as well as your own personal self-hosted versions. We can do save. This is just that example demo that we had around an aesthetic clinic. So what we'll just do is wait for this to come back. We're publishing it. Once it's loaded up, I'll just show you quickly. And then we'll see how we can customize it. So if I open this up on a new tab, you'll see in the bottom right hand corner, there we go. We can see it's coming through and we've got the information, but we're not able to chat with it at the moment. The reason we haven't got that is because we need to activate it. So if we come back into n8n, what we'll do is we'll do save, we'll activate it, we'll do got it. We'll come back into our website. There we go. And then we'll just refresh the page. And what we should do is now get the chat at the bottom here. So we can say hi there. We can send that off. What it should do is then come back, and as you can see, is that specific use case around the aesthetic clinic to be able to respond. But how do we let customers book an appointment? Well, that's what we're going to run through quickly by adding some features with Google. We're going to come back into our account here. What we're going to do is come through to Tool. We're going to do Google. We're going to do Google Calendar. We're going to do select, so create credential, sign in with Google. Then we're just going to sign in with the account that we want to use, where we would book the meeting through. We'll get successful connection. This will redirect us in the next 5 minutes or so, 5 seconds or so. As you can see here, we've now got our website demo account. We'll do save. We'll close that down. And then what we need to do is have 2 events. We're going to have one which is create and one which is get many. So in this case, we'll do the get one first, get many. We're going to come down and add our calendar in there. We're going to return maybe 10 events, so 10 different instances. And then we're going to change this from now to actually be dynamic, because we're going to use the from AI instead. So if I just copy this, we'll paste it in there. And then what we're going to say is start time. We'll do 2 more commas. We'll say string, and we'll add in 2 in here, and we'll say the start time of the meeting desired by the user. So now if we just open that up in expression, you can see that's what it would look like. So that's the code. We'll come down and do exactly the same for the bottom one. So we'll just pop this out. We'll paste in there. We'll do end time. And we'll just say the end time of the meeting desired by that customer. We don't need to add anything else in here. This will go through and just return all of the details within that given date time period. There we go. We'll call it retrieve meetings. And then what we're going to do is add another tool in here. So we'll come through and do add tool. We'll do Google Calendar. We'll come through and do create. We're going to come through and do Alex. And then we'll change this expression again. So we'll just put in here start time, the start time of the meeting desired by the user. And we'll do this again for the end time. So what we'll do is end time. So now the customer will be able to book an appointment, and we can add in some extra fields in here. So for example, attendees, we need to make sure that we change this to expression. We'll pop this out and we can say email address. We just need to make that all one word. We're going to say email address of the user that is trying to book an appointment. We'll come down here. We're also going to add another attendee. We'll just put our own email address in there. There we go. What we can also do is add a summary. Now, summary is slightly deceptive because it's actually the title of the meeting. So we'll come through to here. We'll just do expression. We'll pop this out and we'll say meeting title. And we'll just rename this and we can call it something like that, just where it's the meeting title and it's got a professional tone that's maybe quite concise. We can go through and add as many of these fields as we want to, but we're not going to go through and do that now. Now we can just rename this. There you go. So now we can go through and give it a quick test because we called it book a meeting. and it should have the ability to go through and book something for us now. So if we come back into our website, what we'll be able to do is just refresh the page. We'll restart the chat. So we'll say, please, can I book an appointment? We'll send that off. What it should do is come back and ask us a couple of questions, as well as the preferred date time that we want to go ahead with, which, as we can see, is done there. We can say, I am interested in getting my lips done. No idea. Preferred date is this Friday at 10 a.m. My email address is Alex. There we go. We'll send that off. It should come back and ask us just to double check the information based on the prompt that we've given it, and then we'll be able to go through and double check the information. So it looks like it's not available. So there's something already existing. So we could say, what times do you have free on Friday? And then we should be able to get something back for this, and we'll be able to go through and book an appointment in. So we'll just wait for this to come back. So we could go through and we could say, please, can I have the 11 a.m. one? There we go. We'll send that off. Then what it should do is it'll come back and it'll say, yes, please. And then what we'll do is once this goes through, we'll just go back into our diary and we'll see if we've got it on our side as well as that customer side. So we go through. It looks like it's gone through and it's done it all successfully. It's confirmed all the information, and you can view the appointment here. So I open that up and we can add to our Google Calendar there. So we'll be able to download it. If I come back into our actual personal account, there we go. We can see it there. You're going to see quite a lot of this is blurred, but if I open it up, as you can see here, we've got all of the information and we've got the guests actually waiting to confirm their appointment as well. So that's all good to go. Now we can book an appointment automatically. But now let's go through and see how we can customize our AI agent. So we're going to come back into our chat window here. We're going to come up to our AI agent information just on how we deploy it. We can see that we've got options here. Now this has got lots and lots of information around the different, for example, start messages that you can send, as well as if we come a bit further down the color scheme. Now, again, in the resources below, I've got the example here that you'd be able to copy and paste. All we've got is the branding colors in here. You can see the general colors. We've got the bot message bubble, so what messages that will show. We've got the user message bubble. So again, if we come back to our agent, what we should see is that we are white at the moment. So basically the standard green and white responses with the pink thing in the bottom. So again, we'll be able to change that to what we want. As we can see here, we can change the bot messages, the users, we can change the want, we can change the font, all of this different information, and you'll be able to come down here and add in your information so that it goes through and does it exactly how you want it. So if we copy this, we'll do copy, we'll come back into where we've got the code. So again, this is where you need to inject it. If you're doing it yourself on some of the other platforms, we'll just paste it across. There we go, and we'll paste in there. What we will need to do though is make some changes. So as we got up the top here, the web URL that we had from earlier, we can delete that original version. We can come a bit further down, and then where we've got your deployment URL, we'll be able to paste in there. And now what we should do is have a fully customized version. So that's in our color scheme that we'll be able to do in maybe the blues, because that's what the website theme is in. So what we'll do is we'll just delete all of this. And then what we'll be able to do is publish. And then we'll just reopen that website on another page in a second. And we should see that that color scheme has completely changed, as well as the opening message. So if we come up to the top, we'll do restart. So as you can see, it's now blue instead of the pink, which is great. As you can see here, we've also customized the start. So you'll be able to add in your customer's name. We've also got the blue logos. We've also got the blue background here instead of the white that was before. And if we type something in, we can say hello and we'll send that off. What we can see is it's now got the dark blue background for that customer's response. That's how quick and easy it is to get something up and running using n8n to embed on our website with your own color scheme. Now I'm going to go through the last part of the video, which is just how to add RAG as an option. Again, all of the resources are in the link below. If not, it was great to see you, and I'll see you in the next video. So let's jump straight into that and see how it works. So we're going to come back across. We're going to add in our Google Drive. So we're going to come back in here. We'll do add node. We'll do Google Drive. Google Drive. Then we're going to come down the bottom. We'll do triggers. We'll do in specific folder. We need to create our credentials. So you're going to come down and create new credentials. We're going to go and need to add a client ID and client secret. So you want to come across to Google Cloud. I'll include the link below how to do this. We'll also be able to create a new environment. So come to the top, new project. We're going to call this website n8n demo. What we'll do is this take a little while for it to spin up, and then we'll be able to use it. So once it's ready to go, we'll do select project. We're going to come and enable APIs and services. We're then going to come to library. We're going to search for Google and then Drive. What you'll need to do is if you're ever using this with different tools like Google Sheets or anything like that, you'll need to go through and enable all of those different APIs for that. So we'll wait for this to go green. What we should do is get a slightly different screen that shows actually it's been enabled, and we'll be able to disable it, which is this one here. Now what we can go through and do is create an authentication screen. So we can do get started. We'll give it a name. So we'll do website n8n demo. We'll add in our support email. We'll do an external one. So we're going to use our test one. We'll add our email address in there. The reason we're doing external is so we can use a test email address, which we'll add in a second. We'll go through, we'll finish this up. Now what we'll be able to do is come down to create authentication client. We'll do web application. We'll give it a name. There we go. We'll come a bit further down. We need the redirect URI. So we'll come down and add that in. We'll come back across to our Google. We'll come back across to our n8n environment. Copy this URL here. We'll paste that in there. We'll do create. There we go. So now we've got our client ID ready to go, but we're not quite done yet. We need to come into audience, and we're going to add our test user down here. There we go. We'll add that. The reason this is really key is because whatever email you add in there is the only one that will be able to use this app going forwards, or this integration, so that you'll be able to use that with n8n. We'll come back up to the top. We'll do APIs and services. We'll do credentials. We'll come back into our OAuth client ID. We'll copy this client ID. We'll paste it in here. We'll come back across and we'll copy our client secret and we'll paste in them. We'll do sign in with Google. Again, you'll only be able to sign in with the email address that you specified beforehand. So that's key. If you don't see this connection successful, that's probably why, because you've used a different or incorrect test email account. We'll come down here. Now we're going to search every minute. We're going to do changes involving a specific folder. So what we're going to do is search for a folder. So we're going to come down here and do website, because I've called one, which is website demo. There we go. We'll be looking for file created because we're going to be adding files. What we then want to do is pull this across. We're then going to do download. We're going to do Google and then Drive, because we now need to download the file to be able to upload it into our environment, which is going to be Pinecone. So we're going to do change to ID. We're going to do hold, just so that we'll be able to go through and do it in a second. We'll do save. We're going to come across to Pinecone. We're going to do login. Again, this is just one of the vector databases out there that you can use. There's lots of different other ones that you'll be able to use if you wanted to. We'll come up to do create index. We'll give it a name, website n8n demo. We'll come down here. We're going to use the small text embedding from OpenAI. We're going to do serverless, AWS, and West Virginia. We'll do create. This will take a little while to spin up. And then what we'll be able to do is use this in the future. To get access to it, what we're going to need to do is come across to API keys. We'll do create a key. We'll do website demo. We'll do create key. We'll be able to copy this one. We'll come back into our agent. We'll be able to search for Pinecone. There we go. We're going to do add documents to vector store. We'll come down, create new credential. We'll paste our API key in there. Now it's gone green, so we're all good to go. We'll be able to choose the databases that we've got available. So for example, we can now choose our website n8n demo. We'll pull this down here so it's nice and easy. Embeddings, we're going to use our OpenAI module. To create a credential, we'll come down, create new credential. We're going to need an API key. So we'll come across to OpenAI Playground. We'll do dashboards, API key, create a new secret key. We'll call this website demo. We'll come through, we'll copy this. We'll come back across. We'll do save in there. We'll do save, and this should go green. So we'll be all good to go and able to use it. So now what we'll be able to do is come through and add that in there. The document, we'll add that in there for the default data loader. We'll do binary, automatically detect MIME types. This is going to automatically detect the file type that's coming through. And then we just need to do the text splitter. We'll do recursive just so it breaks it up into nice usable chunks. and we'll be all good to go from this point of view here. There we go. I'll just pull this down. We'll just give it a quick test to show how it works for this download a file. So we need to do test step. What we should see is that nothing is in there. If we come through and test it again when we upload some data, there we go. We'll just add in the DeepSeek R1 paper just as something to test. We'll come back across to our agent. We'll do fetch test event. Change this to schema. As you can see here, we've now got all that information. So if we do Google Drive, download, we can get rid of this. We're going to come further down to where we've got permissions. We're going to put across this ID. We'll do test step. And then what we should do is able to download the file. There we go, in binary data format. And we'll just go through and do test step, which should go through and add it into our database. But how are we going to chat to it? Well, that's where we're going to need to add in our question and answer. So we'll come through and do question, vector store question and answer. We'll do knowledge about company, information about company's offerings. There we go. And what we'll be able to do is bring this to the top. We'll add in our vector store, which is going to be Pinecone. We'll be able to do from list, so the one that we just built. And we'll be able to add in our two models. So in this case, we'll just do OpenAI for both so that it's nice and easy. We'll do embeddings and OpenAI. And there we go. Both of them are the small in this case, so just remember that when you're going through and using it. And now what we'll be able to do is actually query our knowledge base to be able to go through and use it with an AI agent. And that's how quick and easy it is to be able to embed an n8n AI agent on your website, as well as be able to go and chat with the data that you've got access to. This has been a really quick demo. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more around AI automation and AI agents. Links in the description for all of the resources, and have a great day.